Hi everyone, I am Shrisha. So, now I'm going to explain about Vishnu Sukta, which is a part of Yajurveda, and many other cosmic terms, which I think it is exciting to know. Those who are hungry for knowledge and curious for new stuffs. So, welcome to my YouTube channel. So, let me start with Vishnu Sukta, reciting of Vishnu Sukta, and then we shall continue with some explanations. ॐ विष्णोर्नुकं वीर्याणि प्रवोचं यः पार्थिवानि विममेरजागुंसि यो अस्कभायादुत्तरगं सतस्तं विचक्रमाणस्तेर्दोरुगायो विष्णोरराटमसि विष्णो पृष्ठमसि विष्णो क्षप्रेस्तो विष्णो स्यूरसि विष्णो ध्रुवमसि वैष्णवमसि विष्णवे त्वा ततस्य प्रियमपि पार्थो अस्यां नरो यत्र देवयवो मदन्ति उरुक्रमस्य स हि बन्धुरित्ता विष्णोपदे परमे मध्व उत्सः प्रतद्विष्णुस्तवयते वीर्याय मृगो न भीमकुचरो गरिष्ठाः यस्योरुषु त्रिषु विक्रमणेषु अधिक्षियन्ति भुवनानि विश्वाः परो मात्रया तनुवा वृधाना न ते महित्वमन्वशुवन्ति उभेते विद्मरजसि पृथिव्या विष्णो देवत्वं परमस्य विद्ये विचक्रमे पृथिवीमेष एतां क्षेत्राय विष्णुर्मनुषे दशस्यन् ध्रुवासो अस्य कीरयो जनासः उरुक्षितिगुं सुजनिमाचकारा त्रिद्रेव पृथिवीमेष एतां विचक्रमे शतर्चसं महित्वा प्रविष्टुरस्तु तव सस्तवीयान् द्वेषग्रहस्य स्तविस्रस्य नाम अतो देवा अवन्तु नो यतो विष्णुर्विचक्रमे पृथिव्याः सप्तधामभिः इदं विष्णुर्विचक्रमे त्रेधानि ददे पदं समूढमस्य पागुं सुरे त्रीणि पदा विचक्रमे विष्णुर्गोपा अदाभ्यः ततो धर्माणि धारयन् विष्णोः कर्माणि पश्यत यतो व्रतानि पस्पशे इन्द्रस्य युज्यः सखाः तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवीव चक्षुराततं तद्विप्रासो विपन्यवो जागृवां ससमिन्दते विष्णोर्यः परमं पदं पर्याप्य अनन्तराय सर्वस्तोमोऽतिरात्र उत्तममहर्भवति सर्वस्याप्यै सर्वस्य जित्यै सर्वमेव तेनाप्नोति सर्वं जयति ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So let's go to the next slide. So the sukta which I told is of the Lord Vishnu. So who is Vishnu? So Vishnu is a Vedic term. To brief about Vedas is the Apaurishaya. It is the only purest information, is the only purest data, or the Akashic, or the sacred Akashic record, which has no author. So as the God is eternal, so the text or the data describing him is also eternal. So the saints, it can be said that saints downloaded the data only through their hard work and by the mercy of God. So the term Vishnu is a Vedic term. It in etymology or Nirukta in Veda, it means Vishnu is all-pervading, omnipresent, and he is the fundamental. So Vishnu is almighty. He is the only one who knows everything because he is the origin of all. So Vishnu is omniscient and complete. He does not have any residue of any character or parameters. He is complete and purest without any defects. So the Lord Vishnu do not have any defects while everything else have. Vishnu is the only independent entity or self-dependent which do not depend on anything else. But all the other stuffs like nature, lives, atoms, particles, vibrations, everything depends on that real entity who is described by the term Vishnu. So Vishnu is the real God who is beyond all perception. Since he is the only independent and highest dignity, he is beyond all the perception. But it need not to become sad, because he can be known by a pure devotion. So he is beyond the logic, but he can be seen only through a pure devotion. So that real entity, the utmost and superior, greater, which cannot be even imagined, is the Vishnu. So how can we prove or know that everything has a cause? Nothing in this world exists without a cause. We may not know the cause, but there is a cause. So that Vishnu is uncaused. He is eternal or transcendent. That is the main character of the term Vishnu, who is uncaused by anything, but exists by himself or herself, or whatever the term which is used in the language. So Vishnu is entirely greatest and does not depend on anything else, who is uncaused and transcendent. So Vishnu is also described as infinity. So how can I understand that? Let's consider the numbers like 0, 1, 2, 3, for example. So if I consider 0 and 1, how many numbers exist between 0 and 1? If I go on dividing by 2, for example, 0. 0.5, 0. 0.25, 0.625, it goes on and continues. So the number goes on and continues. So even between the numbers 1 and 2, there exist infinite numbers. So okay, fine. What if I go on add the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 crore, 10 crore, 100 crore, or a billion, trillion? It goes on up to infinity. So infinity exists. Infinity is a symbol. Infinity is the biggest number. Infinity is a link, or whatever the infinity is can be defined, which is indeterminate or which cannot be known so easily. So that infinity exist both outside as a biggest number and both inside between any numbers. So that biggest number, or that infinity, where the Vishnu Sukta defines the Lord Vishnu as infinity by the Samskrita or Sanskrit term Ananta, that is infinity. So infinity exists both in and around, as told in Narayana Sukta also. Antarbahishya tat sarvam vyapya Narayana stitaha. Narayana is another term for the Lord Vishnu. So that infinity is omnipresent or indweller of everything. That defines this point. So how can Vishnu be independent and definer of all? For example, let's consider the function f of x is equal to y, where y depends on the values of x. For any values of x, the graph of y changes accordingly. So we have to define the function, right? So for if I say f of x is equal to x square, I should define the function. Without defining the function doesn't exist, and without giving the values of for the variable x, the function doesn't exist, and output graph is not obtained. So Vishnu is the definer of function and also giver of the value accordingly to obtain the output. Like for example, nature is dependent on Vishnu for its functioning. So how will the Vishnu give respective value? It's based on the own being of the life. So every soul or every life has its own being. So body is not a life, the soul is a life. So every soul or every life has its own being, talent, nature, and everything. Based on that, a function is defined as a general function for cosmos and lives. So based on that, the input is given by the Lord Vishnu and output is obtained, where we see the world, both unseen and unseen, as the outputs. So how can we get a perception of that? For example, consider the nuclear reaction in the sun. The sun burns. Like a nuclear fusion reaction is where two atoms fuse together to give the product of another heavier atoms of the element. So nuclear reaction or nuclear fusion reaction which occurs in the sun is a control, because 600 million tons of hydrogen is burned every second. Just imagine the beautiful power of the sun. 600 million tons of hydrogen atoms is burnt every second to produce helium and a few other subatomic particles and huge amount of energy. So if there are 600 million and still the sun continues for another 5 million years, so how will the atoms there come to know that no, only 600 million should burn, not 601 million? Or how will the neighboring atoms know that, oh, that atom is under the reaction and I should keep quiet? No, because any particle do not have consciousness. Only that is a Vishnu who is making the particles, the specific particles, to undergo the reaction to give the energy needed to sustain the life on the planet Earth accordingly, or any planet, for example. So this need not be hold good for sun alone. This hold good for all the stars, galaxies, and everything. So coming to the hydrostatic equilibrium, for any star in the cosmos, there is an equilibrium between the thermal energy within the sun, like fusion energy, which is pushing outwards, like um, hot air expands, right? So there is a force which pushes out from the inside of the sun due to thermal energy of nuclear reaction which occurs at the core of the sun, and the gravitational pull which is pulling inward. So there should be an equilibrium between those two, which is given by this equation, which is finely tuned. This cannot occur by just a probability or anything. This is a balance between gravitational force and the thermal energy in the sun. So if we are riding a bicycle, it cannot be like something automatic that only a robot or something else is performing. There should be a driver, there should be a consciousness who controls it, who balances it. So that Vishnu or the God is the controller and balancer of everything. So those are finely tuned. And for example, every particles in the universe has a vibration because it has periodic motion, it has waveforms. So there are damped and undamped vibration. So if the constant energy is not given to sustain the vibration, then the graph becomes like this. The energy goes on and decreases, and it becomes zero. But if the constant energy or the optimum energy is always giving, the vibration always continues. And if the vibration continues, the particle is in motion, or it's in the function where the cosmos is functioning. So that constant and optimum energy is given, or the program or code has been done by the God. Only because of that, the cosmos is functioning at all the intervals of time, not only for one interval but for all the intervals of time. And as I told, this is according to the brainwave. I just recited about the Vishnu Sukta. So let me play. I had recorded another time for the Vishnu Sukta. So let me see of how the vibration comes. So Om, then the Vishnu Sukta starts. So this is the vibration. This is how the vibration when recited comes. So I have put minimum as 60 dB and as shown in the graph. So this is the graph. I am not the perfect, but I just here made to show how it functions. So this is how the waveform looks. So let me compare with this one. So if we are silent or dumb or all the time, then our brain doesn't function. If our brain doesn't function, there is no output or anything. So the recite of God, or reciting the name of God, or spells, or Vishnu Suktas of Vedas, or whatever it is, so that makes our brain to function more, and hence it produces more higher level of waves in the brain, or brain waves, which is modern, which is seen in the modern technology. So that makes the brain and the mind to function more and to think more. So it can be just compared, that's it. So this slide is just about to know about India. So the history of India or the world is not just about primitive ages of the man, but it also occurs as a superior civilization who knew everything. There is a city Dwarka discovered, and there are advanced technologies, civilization, and everything in the ancient India, which is known by many foreign researchers and Indian researchers. And the study of religious text also helps us to know more about the science and technology. And the Vishnu is supreme, not anyone else. This is described as the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita itself. So there is no doubt about that Vishnu is supreme. Only Vishnu is supreme. That Vishnu is known by all the terms in all the languages and all the vibration of the cosmos. So Vishnu is supreme, who is served by the great scholars and people like Lakshmi, Brahma, Shiva, Ganesha, Surya, and everyone else. So from that we can also know that there are similarity in teachings of all the religions of the world. For example, God's name is I am. Krishna told in Bhagavad Gita that aham vaishvanaro bhutva pranam dehamashritaha. So I am, who is the God who is within the life to make the function according to its nature, is known by the term I am. This is also told by Moses, are told in Old Testament. So this is because there is one common origin for everyone. So this makes that there are similarities between all the theistic religion when did research. There are also some differences here because of the differences in location, languages, and all those things. But it doesn't matter. Regarding to God, almost everything is like similarities. So this completes a brief explanation of this. Thank you very much.